This church is the oldest wooden church building in continuous use as a place of worship in the United States.
The house of worship that sits on a quiet street in Hingham, Massachusetts, says a lot about the aspirations of America's earliest settlers. Old Ship Church was built in 1681 by English Puritans who came to America seeking religious freedom. Puritans brought with them the concept of the meeting house, a communal gathering place for both worship and town business.
The Puritans wouldn't have understood the idea of separation of church and state. It was all blended together. They believed that the church was the people, so the meeting house is the place to meet. So town meetings were held here for at least the first 100 years after it was built, in addition to meeting for worship, which was the primary reason for its construction.
These people valued their original reason for coming and tried to keep it plain. It wasn't about fanciness, it was plain ethics and plain standards, and so that's the way this place still stays. It's kind of unadorned.
The beauty of Old Ship Church emanates from its Puritan plainness. It has undergone several renovations in its 325-year history, the most recent returning it to its 17th and 18th century appearance. The large elevated central pulpit with an impressive but practical sounding board dates from 1755. The box pews were luxurious replacements for earlier rough benches.
It's a continuous thread of history from when they arrived here in Hingham in 1635 till now. The baptismal bowl came with the first settlers from Hingham, England. It's over 375 years old. It's a simple bowl, it's silver-plated pewter. 12 or more generations of children have been welcomed with water that's in this bowl, and that's just a beautiful way of people feeling connected to all these generations of children and families. There are people who began worshiping here simply because they were intrigued by the building, and when they walked into the building, they felt something. It's practically palpable. You feel as though you're in the company of these generations. So I think it gives people just a feeling of being held by all those who've been here before, being held by history, being held just by the beauty of the place. That's a pretty good place to start when you come into a place of worship.
To me, it's awe-inspiring. I feel like this is sort of a cradle of American history. This is where people talk about what they wanted in the way of a country. And so when I sit here, I think, ooh, I'm so lucky to be here, and even more lucky to be helping take care of it for a while to make sure that it goes into the next 100 years.
The place where someone worships can give them a sense of centeredness in their own sense of faith, in their own sense of meaning of what life means to them. Our own Old Ship Meeting House represents not only for our congregation, but really for the nation, a connection to an important part of our heritage. To be able to enter a building that represents and that is part of that living history is powerful.